What happens when the camera is switched on?
So Naseer sir's interview once I was seeing, and somebody was asking him about nervousness on stage. But he said that why is an actor nervous? Because he's thinking about the wrong things. He's thinking about whether the audience will like him. But he ideally should be thinking about what his character wants in that scene.
He should be present.
And now whenever I go on stage, I don't remember the last time I was nervous.
Is there any way you can maybe give a do's and don'ts for the aspiring actors?
Oh, my answer right now would be don't do it. Now, if you ignore that advice, you're already halfway there. You're going to hear no more times than somebody else will hear in their 100 lifetimes combined. Your hopes will be shattered and so that is the most important. As an actor, once you're starting out, it is very important to have some delusion, because to enter a field which has such tremendous competition and the odds are basically against you only, you have to have that ignorance where you're like, no, you will do it.
I can do it.
Exactly.
Right.
And life has a lovely way of not giving you what you want,
What you're saying is through acting, you have understood behavior, psychology, philosophy, science.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you want to say to the young aspiring artists?
You've chosen something which is unconventional, so don't judge yourself by conventional standards.
Hi Rajeev.
Hello. Hi, Megha.
We are in Mumbai. The year is 2024.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to close your eyes for me?
Okay.
Please go back to your childhood, the year of your choice. Tell us about the first film that left a mark in your heart.
The first film which I remember seeing and getting affected by is Dar.
Oh,
Yeah, for many reasons. Because I remember seeing the trailer of it, and I was seeing this actor being chased and being beaten, but for some reason I was empathizing with him. Obviously, consciously, though, I wasn't, reasoning ki why I should like this particular character. But there was something in probably the way it was shot, the way it was performed, and something resonated inside me where I was like, wow, why am I empathizing with such a part. Number one there. And then when the film finally released, I remember my dad was posted in a very small town in UP that time, and we had gone to the theatre to see it, and we were like 15 minutes late. So obviously, me being like such a film buff, I was like disappointed ki yaar pehle 15 minute. So what happened was that after the film got done, my father requested the theatre guy, can you just play the first 20 minutes again? And he obliged.
so nice.
So that's why these two moments have just stuck, and I liked the film. That was the first sort of like cinema when I was just like taken into that world. Again, I think in the same year, Bazigar had also released, and I remember going throughout Dhanbad, because I was at my Nana ji's house that time, wanting to buy that red jacket which Shah Rukh Khan wore in Ye Kali Kali Aankhein, aur sara mil nahi raha tha kahin par. And I'm just like, my relatives were so, like my parents and my Nani and my Nana ji was so like sweet, because they were just
Going with you?
Yeah. And I was like, how, when I look back at it, I think maybe eventually when I started acting, people were like, around me were like, "Arey, dimag phir gaya hai." But maybe they only encouraged it back then.
Right.
Yeah.
But the way you associated yourself as an audience when you watched Dar or Bazigar for that matter, and now you are on the other side.
Yeah.
What difference do you feel now that you've seen the other side of how you experience that? Because right now there may be so many young boys and girls who would be feeling what you were feeling then, watching what you do.
Yeah. No, but it is amazing, because obviously when you're, as a kid, when you're watching cinema or TV shows, you, as a kid, obviously one doesn't have that, at least I didn't have that thought that as a profession, as an occupation, I will be doing this, right? Because of what your parents teach you or your teachers teach you or the experiences you have in school and college, and eventually some sort of gut feeling, you tend to gravitate towards a profession, and if you're lucky, you gravitate towards something which you love doing and which is basically play and not work.
Yeah.
The same joy and the same enthusiasm and the same loss of time and space that I felt while watching a film is the same I feel when I'm performing.
Brilliant.
Somebody had asked me, and I said, the reason I knew ki acting is something which which I like doing, and which I think I'm meant for, is because the first time when I was on set as an amateur actor, I still felt at home. And I think wherever you feel at home, because when you're at home, time and space loses its value. You're just there. So that's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Precisely to do that, to help people realize that art is such a powerful tool which can make you feel at home wherever you are.
Yes.
And the purpose of art to seek joy out of it and nothing else. To encourage this thought process is why we created this platform called Voice of Artists. So welcome to Voice of Artists, Rajeev. How are you feeling?
Excellent.
You have played so many different type of roles.
Yeah.
Your characters have different voice, across theatre, web series and films.
Right.
If you had to articulate what it is to be an actor, how would you do that?
I was in a boarding school since I was 5 years old.
Right.
So I have been fortunate that जितने भी मेरे दोस्त 5 साल की उम्र से थे वो अभी भी मेरे अच्छे दोस्त हैं. So this guy and I would always be in competition for everything. The first play I did was in class 3, which when I was basically probably 7 years old, and I only had one line. And my friend, since we're competing for everything almost, he had the lead role. I had one line where I just come out and say, "Hey, where's the soup?" It was called the Stone Soup, the play. So many years later, he said, Rajeev, the reason why you act, because he asked me this and I couldn't articulate as to, the intangible को articulate करने में उसकी खूबसूरती चली जाती है, right? But he said the reason why you act is simple. I said, what? Because you can't help it. And I said, that's the correct answer. Because I can't help it, because when you've had a taste of home, then why would you, even if you, let's say, go out of it up once in a while, but just the feeling of just tremendous bliss and joy when you're at home is what keeps getting you there. And therefore, I think that's why I act, because I can't help it,
What does that do to you? Does it bring you to present? Does it make you feel part of something beyond? What does it do?
A mixture of all those things that you said. See, firstly, when you're acting, you have to be present. That's the most important. That we taught that when we're acting. Bhai, present raho, don't think about, what's happening in the next scene. You have to be here right now, right? So in that sense, when I say being at home is basically what I think I'm trying to say is that every human, our journey has to lead to home in whichever way, whatever path you take, right?
Sure.
And for me, acting has done just that, because I just feel that, again, when I'm acting, I'm not doing the acting, it is happening through me. One can give it a very mystical touch, which probably is true.
Sure.
But like when I'm often now, so whenever I see my work on the screen, I'm like, how did I do that? And earlier on, I would be like, maine kiya hai. But now more so, it's maybe that's a natural path. But every time I look at it, I'm like, how did I do that? I don't think I can do that anymore. Maybe these doubts or whatever, but it is you only.
What you're saying is brilliant, actually, because you're being in the present and then you're forgetting who you are. So this gap, when did you first realize this detachment of my action versus what you said, it's happening through me?
3-4 years back. It's as fresh as that, but I'm like, that is why I think when some actors say that they can't see themselves on screen, it is maybe because they're like,
disbelief.
Yeah, that's not me. Or maybe how did I, maybe they don't like to hear or see themselves, because in their hearts they're probably like, but that is, like you said, disbelief.
What you're basically trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have put years and years of practice understanding the techniques of acting as a craft that work for you.
Yes.
So that when you are in front of the camera and when it's time to act, you're not acting, you're living it.
Basically, that is true. And I think Stanislavski, the father of the method acting, or at least the modern method acting, he had said, making the mundane habitual and habitual subconscious, and the subconscious beautiful. Something of that sort, he said. So basically, you're right. Years of hard work and hard work and hard work, what it does is possibly, from the conscious, it becomes unconscious.
It creates neural pathways.
Maybe. And also, as an actor, once you're starting out, it is very important to have some delusion, because, again, this I read while I was training only. 4 stages of competence.
Okay.
So first is unconscious incompetence,
Right.
You're a gadha, but you don't know that.
Right.
So that's very good because
Yeah.
to
Ignorance is bliss.
to enter a field which has such tremendous competition and the odds are basically against you only,
Yeah.
you have to have that ignorance where you're like, no, you will do it.
I can do it.
Exactly. After a few years, you realize you get conscious incompetence. You're like, oh, damn. So then you start working hard. You realize your weaknesses and you realize where all you need to work and all of that. And after some time, it becomes conscious competence, where you're competent, but you know that.
Right.
And again, after years and years, I guess you reach a place where you're unconscious competence, where you're so competent, but you can't take any credit for it because it's happening.
It looks effortless at that
but
point.
Years of effort have gone into that. And I think it takes I think when I look at an actor like Irfan Khan, for instance.
Yeah. He makes it look so effortless.
Yeah. He makes it looks easy. It's like water,
It's brilliant what you are kind of bringing to forefront, because what you're saying is, while the audience sees a 2 hour of a film or 10 episodes of a web series, or let's say even a 90 minutes of a play live, what goes behind the scenes, not just for the preparation for just that project, but how your life has prepared you and how you have prepared yourself to be able to deliver that, that finite duration.
Exactly. Like you said, how your life has prepared you or you prepared for the part, you have to do that, because on the day of the shoot, God forbid, some factors go wrong, your center will be
Which
shaken.
is so difficult because in everyday life also, more so in acting, anything that disturbs you, we as humans have a tendency of using that as an excuse. Because I was disturbed, I messed it up.
Absolutely.
How do you not do that? Because as an actor, there is millions, if nothing, of amount which is invested in getting you there. So there's a cost to your frustration or anger also. So how do you keep calm in such situations?
Because like I said, this is what I love doing. Obviously, there are moments where one is irritated when things are not, but you understand that ultimately, audience doesn't know कि इस scene के दौरान backstage क्या हो रहा था भाई, वो तो बस आप ही को देख रहे हैं, right?
That's such a nice sense of responsibility, actually.
Obviously, because they don't care and they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
For them, it doesn't matter कि इस scene के पहले director और उसकी बहुत ही argument हो गई थी, or supposing the light is going and you only have one take. It's happened a couple of times where light is going and one can't do more than 2 takes for that shot, and it's a very important shot, but you only have to do it then because the production cannot get that location again. But that's where the preparation comes into place, because God forbid that those 1-2 takes are bad, you can't go to every audience member and say कि यार forgive me, यार उसमें मेरे पास 15 मिनट थे बस करने को, आप नहीं कह सकते. And I remember like 4 more shots. Season 3 has a decent. I have a monologue to Siddhi's character where it's a nice long monologue, and we had got the script during COVID, but obviously COVID हो गया था, so the shoot got pushed.
Sure.
So basically 1.5 months के बाद or years के बाद वो shoot हुआ था.
Right.
But every day for 1.5 years, I would do that monologue 2-3 times at home at least. Yeah, just arranging my clothes, having my morning tea, just doing the monologue. Just because, not because of anything, but because I love it. Yeah. If you love something, do it.
You know that you like something or love something, but you will have enough things happening or reasons cropping up that, हाँ, प्यार तो ये है, but that but. Why does that but come?
But comes because of expectations. Obviously, if you're putting in the work, you're putting in so much time, your mind or your whatever builds up certain expectations कि मुझे इसकी वजह से I should get this or I should have got this by now or in the future,
Right.
And life has a lovely way of not giving you what you want, So I think, again, if you're very serious about your acting, then क्या होता है कि eventually, after all, of most of your expectations not being fulfilled,
right,
you realize that, oh, I still love acting. And then I think the real journey starts possibly. Then you truly are fully in it for the thing, not for what it will give you. For me, when I have a script or a lines or whatever, I love saying it because
the inner child comes out.
Yeah, I like doing it. I just love reading it. And then so that day on set we were in Italy shooting. It had got a bit delayed because of the rain. And when we did it, it happened in one take.
2 years of...
Yeah. And I was not for 1 second nervous before that. I think people watching were more nervous because they knew कि भैया ऐसे ऐसे चीज़ों में
बहुत
time
लंबा
लगता है.
है ये हम monologue.
But हो गया.
What happens when the camera is switched on? What changes?
When I'm on set, actually, well, when I'm in my vanity van only or in my changing room, I'm already living the life of that character. So for me, I'm just behaving. So nothing changes per se because I like to be immersed in that world of the character and of the show or the series or the film because it's, again, I always take it back to, as a person, I guess I am obsessive. If I'm doing something, I want to give it my all. Otherwise, I won't do it. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and energy. Let somebody else do it. So for me, nothing changes per se. Clint Eastwood as a director also, he apparently, मैंने सुना है कि he doesn't say action. He says the camera is rolling. He says whenever you're ready. Because I think जब actor को action कहते हैं ना, so supposing if I'm like setting action, suddenly मैं acting करने लगूंगा.
Nice.
So whenever you're ready. And apparently he doesn't say cut. He says we've got it. And therefore, I think a good director who possibly wants to coax out good performances will make you feel, like I always say, that you're in your living room, yaar. You know, because you're relaxed. You have nothing to prove. Because once you're okay to fail, okay to not get it correct in the first take or second take, you don't care about validation. Automatically, the best will come out.
This is so interesting. What you're saying is if you don't give so much of weight to failure, you handle failure in a better way.
And you will succeed.
Yeah, and you will succeed.
That's the thing. So Nasir sir's interview once I was seeing, and somebody was asking him about nervousness on stage, right? But he said that that why is an actor nervous? Why? Why is he anxious before he goes on stage? Because he's thinking about the wrong things. He's thinking about whether the audience will like him. He's thinking about whether the critic sitting in the front row will like him. But he ideally should be thinking about what his character wants in that scene.
He should be present.
And it hit something. It hit a strong chord in me. And now whenever I go on stage or whenever I'm actually on set, I don't remember the last time I was nervous. I'm doing this play called Gauhar. Whenever I go on stage, I feel like I'm in my living room.
That makes me think, how do you differentiate between different living rooms across different characters? Because the character you played in, let's say, 100 versus in Aashram versus in 4 More Shots, there are 3 different characters, or Love Sitara for that matter. So if you're just being, how are your characters different?
I am being, but the filter through which the being is going is different.
Nice.
In fact, in Gauhar, the same play, I'm playing 3 different parts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing a domestic help, I'm playing an aristocrat, and I'm playing a barrister who's come back from London. So in the same play only I'm playing. So it's basically, you prepare the conditions and your presence goes through that filter to create the illusion of that character.
Again, the efforts to be effortless.
Yes, yes.
How do you compartmentalize the 3 different lives at the same time? And let me make this question a little more difficult.
Tell me.
Without losing yourself in real life.
Yeah, so now I will also add the fact how, when, let's say you're playing a very dark, depressing character, let's say, assume, and people say, ki, oh, hame depression ho gaya. Jo bhi,
correct.
And it's fine.
You've heard that,
Everybody, it's their journey. Everybody, theek hai. But my thing is, I always feel ki if I'm doing something that I love doing, let's say, even if I'm playing there's an emotional scene, and I have to break down, and, after I'm done with that scene, there's only joy in me because as an actor, I have portrayed that character's reality so truthfully.
You've done your job perfectly.
So even in Sitara, like you've seen Love Sitara, when I have a conversation with my father on the phone, when I'm telling him about, the marriage is off. Again, one take by the grace of God.
Nice.
And after I got done, I got up to sit. I was joyful. I was blissed out. But my director, again, she looked at me, she's like, just sit down here. I'm like, no, I'm
okay.
I'm perfect. I can go for a marathon right now, Because for me, it is like the creator has created something.
It's not you who did it.
Yeah, and it's turned out so well. Obviously, I'll be blissed out. So coming back to this, I know that I'm playing different parts. And for me, let's say in the same play, because theatre में तो हमें 1-2 महीने का rehearsal तो होता ही है.
Right.
So I have enough time to, get that character's life fixed inside me somehow, right? It could be a gesture.
Right.
It could be a walk. It could be the way to speak. And just like that, everything will fall into place for the part. So
this is Inception level.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, and the thing is, it doesn't feel like work because it is play.
Right.
So like the domestic helps character is called Bhaglu. His body language is very like crooked. He's a crooked man. उसका body language ही उसको देखकर लग जाएगा कि कुछ तो गड़बड़ है यार, ये बंदा सही नहीं है. So I just get that body language, and automatically the character's thoughts, emotions, feelings just become natural for me.
So what you're saying is, out of mind, body, and heart, you pick one, and then all three are aligned.
Exactly. Anything, absolutely.
Brilliant.
You've actually hit the nail on the head, because after you've done the preparation, you fix a part in you somehow, and then the parts, the way of talking. Supposing if the character talks very softly and all that, if I start talking, I'll suddenly start feeling like that particular part, and I'll portray that.
In a very tangential way, this makes me think of what I do in my work sphere, and it took me years to realize what I do. So while you are playing multiple parts,
right.
I am in a corporate job, and I have to, let's say, sometimes present some strategy, or represent my department or whatever.
Right.
I realized since my school, to beat that nervousness, I will imagine if this is the desk I'm going to sit on to write my exam, I'll stand on the door and I will see myself smiling that yes, I've done it right.
Wow.
So I try to visualize the end outcome of it.
Right.
And then I do the same thing in case of any presentation or any meeting or something. Years later, I found out that this is actually self-hypnosis process.
Oh, wow.
You're going into your subconscious. By visualizing, not telling yourself something verbally, but visualizing it.
Yes.
Tell me if you relate with this.
Of course. When you're visualizing a character's backstory, you can write it down and all of that, but it's only when you visualize it does it become much more real for you. And then, like you said, then the chances of you discovering the honest parts, in this case of the character, in this case of the your chosen objective for the particular meeting, the chance of you discovering that goes much higher.
We've talked so much about an actor's journey. Is there any way you can maybe give a broad list? I know it's not a right thing, but a do's and don'ts for the aspiring actors.
Oh, my answer right now would be don't do it. Then, if they still do it, that means they're already halfway there. And this I am borrowing from another interview which I had seen of a British actor who was invited by an acting institute to give their convocation speech. And this is the exact same thing he said. He said, don't do it. And then there was silence, obviously. And then after 30 seconds, he says, now if you ignore that advice, you're already halfway there.
Nice.
So for me, I think it makes sense. It makes full sense, because you're going to hear no more times than somebody else will hear in their 100 lifetimes combined. You will have faced rejection, your hopes will be shattered, and so that is the most important. You have to know deep inside that this is your journey. There has to be no confusion about it. The ground reality is that when you've been working hard for 5 years and you have not got a single role, your relaxation and concentration will go out of the window.
What do you see when you look at the mirror? A random question, sorry.
Myself.
Okay. Who is Rajeev?
I can't define myself. I don't know. In fact, it's amazing because one casting director a long time ago asked me, who are you? I said, yeah, I will keep on evolving. So I don't, there's no proper answer to that. And obviously they were asking the question because they wanted to see how similar I am to the character.
Sure.
But I'm like, I'm an actor. I
can be anyone.
I genuinely can, because an actor has to have the basic quality of empathy.
Right.
It's that simple. I can be in fact, I genuinely like to play parts which are very far from me. I want to explore different human lives, right? If you're empathetic, then you will discover the character's thing within you. Because as humans, we all have, to some intensity or the other, experienced every emotion possible.
However positive or negative it could be.
Exactly. It's just, and that's why empathy, and again, as human beings, we all should have empathy.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah, because I always bring it back to impermanence. Because, sorry, thoda tangential ho jayega.
Why am I smiling? Because one of my poems is called Permanence of Impermanence.
Wow, wow.
Please continue.
No, because For me, again, long ago I realized कि भाई, we all know it, भाई हम मरेंगे एक दिन. But just to contemplate about death and impermanence is so important, because then you stop taking yourself. I think the more you think about death, the more you live your life better.
Oh yeah.
Then all the selfish and all the small and all the stupid reasons why you do things will disappear, because
But word of caution here, because this can also be taken as an excuse of not doing things properly.
if somebody truly contemplates it, they're only doing it because they offer certain mentality
Right.
to even think
Fair.
about it. And therefore, the intent of what you're doing will turn from selfishness to selflessness.
How to arrive at this mindset?
I think acting. Acting kar lo. Again, in Gauhar only there's a line which one character, they quote Rumi, that break your heart, keep breaking it till it opens.
Oh. What you're saying is through acting you have understood behavior, psychology, philosophy, science.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But because you have to observe everybody, you have to observe yourself, you have to observe life, you have to observe history, and then that's why like impermanence is so important, because you will leave all of that one day. Yeah. And likewise, अगर खराब टाइम भी चल रहा है, आप तो जानते हो कि यार जो भी हम लोग हमें बताया जाता है ना कि तुम्हारा नाम, शोहरत एंड दिस एंड दैट, अगर वो नहीं भी है तो भी आप जा ही रहे हो एक दिन, तो चिल आउट ना, रिलैक्स.
You're making acting sound like a meditation. And something we had discussed, I want to bring it back, here and now.
Yeah.
What does here and now mean to you, and what has here and now done to you?
What it has done to me is given me clarity as to what I am and what I'm not. Because often at times we can be lost in our thoughts and our emotions, and we may start identifying ourselves as that, but we're not that. And I think by defining ourselves, we cage ourselves.
Right.
Supposing I say Megha is such and such a person, I am caging you, and so therefore I'm not allowing myself to be surprised by you, because I know in my head I formed an impression that you will be such and such person and you will behave like this. Similarly for me, all of that. I think here and now has given me so much clarity. It has helped me evolve as a human being. And here and now is simple. It is here and now. There's no definition to it.
What you just said actually makes so much sense of how we cage people in a projection.
Yeah.
We feel this is who we are, and we feel this is who this person is.
Yes.
Even if they are saying something, we don't really listen to what they're saying.
Beautiful, yes.
Right? We are seeing it and hearing it from a colored lens.
Yes.
And then it all gets distorted.
Yes. So when you're playing a character also, I remember reading this acting book where the person said, imagine if you're playing a sweet character, let's say a very basic level.
Sure.
Just imagine sweetness around you. And if you're around, and everything that you say is going through that sweetness, everything somebody else is saying is getting filtered through the sweetness and coming to you. Or imagine somebody says he's a very warm-hearted person.
Yeah.
Imagine warmth in your heart, like a bonfire. And act from there.
Osho calls it drashta bhav, being witness.
Yes.
Your thoughts or your actions are what you are observing from a distance.
Yeah.
That makes me think, going back to your example of doing a part of serial killer, for example, or a very negative character, which in your current real life, you may never become that.
Yeah.
Apart from that, any other character you play, you will derive something or the other from your life.
Yes.
What do you do in such cases?
It is easy to empathize with good people because we all want to be like that. But it's so difficult to empathize with people who are evil, who are discarded by society. But therefore, I think as an actor, it's so beautiful that we get this opportunity that we can empathize with the whole of humanity, right? If supposing somebody is a very evil sort of a person, again, going through what they have gone through, and just by exercising the muscle of empathy which is in you as an actor, which you should keep on exercising, it will become easier to understand why they could have done what they did.
What you're saying is, you understand the world also a little better because, hey, it's not perfect, it's not black and white, and there are different shades.
Exactly. And therefore, when somebody judges somebody for something negative, I'm like, have you in your whole life never done something which has gone against society? And selfishly, as an actor, it's great playing negative parts because there's more play in it. There's more, you can be crazy, and there's a more sense of loss of self. There's more loss of like Rajeev. If I'm playing, let's say, Mihir in 4 More Shots, he's quite similar
Very
to how
close
I
to
am. But if I'm playing some crazy person, like in Honeymoon Photographer, I would never do what he's done. So it's almost like loss of, which is basically meditation is basically loss of self only.
By being aware, I mean, it's a paradox, but
Yeah, your loss of self, loss of Rajeev to be aware of that awareness.
right.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Suddenly it became very heavy
Yeah, I don't know how.
and deep.
And light also.
And light
At the same time.
also. I'm sorry, I'll switch gears now from empathy to responsibility.
Yes.
Because actors are, in this country especially, worshipped.
Yes.
What you do becomes a narrative, a mindset. So while it's a very good thing that as an individual, as an artist, you are empathizing with all sorts of characters that you're playing and you want to play,
Right.
where does the responsibility come of influencing minds? Because that's happening whether you like it or not.
I think as actors or as filmmakers, we expect a certain understanding from the audience that, okay, here you're coming to watch something which is created by us for your entertainment and for your education, but you don't become, let's take the Joker. You don't become that in real life. You understand why he's become the way he is to become more empathetic as a human being.
Right.
So that you don't become like that or somebody around you doesn't become like that. But I fully understand because cinema has the power to influence all of us and that mass media, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, I think people responsible for making it have that responsibility that whatever they're showing will influence people, the way they think, the way they act, the way they behave, and the way. So therefore, I think the manner in which you show anything has to come from that intent ki we're not here to corrupt you, but please, we're showing this so that, we are also assuming that you also have a certain basic empathy to not become like that, or to ensure that if somebody around you is going through a tough time and you know कि maybe they could go down that path, you ensure that you are there for them. I feel मतलब इतना होना चाहिए पर है नहीं उतना responsibility, but I feel there should be.
I'm glad you said it's a two-way street. It's not only responsibility of the filmmakers but also of the audience.
Obviously.
Because the irony lies there. If the filmmakers are doing a great job, then the audience will feel real hai bhai. And then the real feels very relatable and then you will want to do it.
Yes,
but that filter of, okay, I'm watching a film.
Yes.
Sometimes there are some stories of films I just cannot watch because it triggers something very real in me.
Right.
Because it's so beautifully made.
You're like almost like it's a massive like pat on the filmmaker's back. You're like, अरे क्या अच्छा काम किया कि मैं देख ही नहीं पाई.
They won't make money of one person,
But yeah, I completely. So it's a two-way street, obviously, because and more so in, let's say, on stage in theater, you can see the artificiality, right?
Right.
But still, you and the audience are in a unwritten contract of buying into that illusion, right? It is basically, I think, what all these things do is they can transform your inner life. Right. Basically, I think what films can do is can force you to look within, basically.
Nicely put.
Yeah. I remember seeing a very fantastic film on, on the marginalized sections of our society. It moved me to such an extent that it almost compelled me to do a social sort of a thing because I just couldn't help it. It just, so in that sense, look, it can bring about so much good change.
Can we articulate the purpose of cinema in some way?
The very least, the lowest thing for cinema or any form of art you should have to be entertained by it. It has to hook you. But it is also an interpretation of life. You're not just showing it as it is.
Yeah, there is a scope of imagination and fantasy and something which can't happen in real life.
Exactly. So it is life, but an interpretation of that life while making it interesting for you. Like coming back to Osho also, if I'm sure you his talks and all of that.
Yes.
Somebody asks him a question, first he somehow cracks a joke or something funny. People laugh. When they laugh, they drop their defenses and then he drives the point straight. So similarly, I think with cinema, so what happens is when you make something interesting, the audience has already bought in the illusion.
Yeah.
And then you can just say whatever you have to. Right?
This is so profound because As an audience, cinema watching experience just made sense. You phrased it nicely. You have bought into the illusion
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
And then whatever has to be communicated,
Can be.
directly or indirectly.
Yes.
Because then you are also giving the audience a chance to think for themselves and arrive at a conclusion themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I'm discovering these answers right now only, by
Yeah?
the way. It's just, again,
I'm glad.
yeah, you're a good conversationalist, like a good director who can coax out the truth.
I'm the director right now, who's bringing out your real life reflections.
Yeah.
Honest answer. Are you always acting?
No, not at all. When I started acting, maybe. In that sense, all of us are probably, you can say,
All of us are, sure.
never facade put. But I've realized that, again, digressing to another famous actor's example, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the great actor who passed, I think one of the top actors for me. Philip was just himself wherever, at a restaurant, at a crowded restaurant, he would be himself telling a story, snot is coming out, he's laughing, he doesn't care. He's a big star, big actor, but he's himself. And then I realized कि yeah, as अगर आपको अपनी acting अच्छी करनी है, then you have to not act. The answer to that question is no, I don't.
What is reality? How do you define reality?
बाप रे.
What is real? I mean, and you are the right person for me to ask this because as an actor,
Yeah.
a lot of times you're not real. You're being someone else. So how
Yeah.
do you define reality?
Here and now is real. When one is sitting alone and sometimes you're introspecting about the past, I sometimes like the friendships I've had or the relationships I've had, I'm like, it almost feels कि वो एक अगले जन्म में हुआ था यार. It feels like a dream. Life is a dream, but only the here and the now and this moment is real.
When we were conceptualizing Voice of Artist, one of the thoughts that we had was the ethos or the philosophy behind this would be art above chart.
Yeah.
To say that you do art for art's sake,
Yeah.
for the sheer joy of creating art,
Yeah.
the charts, whether it's fame, money, glamour, whatever, success, will be a byproduct.
Yes.
If there were no pressure of charts,
Yes. Yes.
what kind of stories you would want to be a part of?
Like Love Sitara, which I fortunately have had the good fortune of being part of. I would like to be part of any story which, I mean, the plot can be anything, the characters can be, but by the end of it, there has to be some sort of upliftment. Let's say, supposing a story shows despair and whatever, but I think just the fact that a human in that story is going through that journey which you're watching, I'm sure most people have faced despair and dark times in their lives, but eventually by the end of it, there has to be some sort of ray of hope or like upliftment in terms of the human spirit. That as humans, despite whatever we go through, we are capable of the light. I think if I ever became a filmmaker or a director or somebody, I would definitely, and like you said, when I have no pressure to follow that, I think the underlying theme of all things that I would make would be like life is impermanent. Somehow, don't take it so seriously and just live it. Live life. Eckhart Tolle, he in his book Stillness Speaks, he says, what will be left of all your wishes, worries, anxieties when you die? Just a dash between the date of birth and your date of death. And I was like, wow. लोग कहते हैं ना कि अरे हम entertainment देखना चाहते हैं ताकि हमारी ज़िंदगी में जो भी चल रहा है वो हम भूल जाना चाहते हैं. पर सोचो, you make them realize that वो सब चले जाएगा तुम्हारे साथ, तो relax करो in a good way. So you know what I'm saying?
Beautiful. Another film like this I would recommend is Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah.
The writer
Yeah.
is writing a story.
Yeah.
You also see the life of the character in the film.
Okay.
Suddenly the character starts hearing the writer's voice.
Huh.
She does not know that he exists in real life.
Oh wow. Wow.
So this illusion part is what
Yeah.
reminded me. And then eventually they connect because she is going to write his death and he hears that.
And then?
Impermanence. Watch
Wow.
it. I won't reveal it for you.
Yeah, I'll watch
But
it.
Stranger Than Fiction, it's beautiful and you realize the impermanence of your life through the character.
Yeah.
And he's realizing it in the film.
Yeah. Wow. I'll watch it.
You should watch it. But I think that's the beauty of how you get to hold multiple perspectives which you otherwise would not Because this is that external trigger, and like you said, which helps you go inward.
Yes, yes.
Which other art form apart from cinema or acting
Yeah.
do you see doing that? I think, would it be incorrect to say that cinema is one of the most powerful medium?
It is, of course. matlab, I
You're being
would,
biased?
no, it is. But I think anything that you do with full like presence can lead you to similar conclusions and similar learnings like cinema does, I feel. Cinema is an art form because almost, let's say, a cinema theatre, a cinema hall in that sense, so many people together in a dark room are what it's a collective sort of an experience, and therefore if there's something great being shown to them, collectively they are reacting, and they're connecting to other human beings and the character there together.
Right.
So in that sense it has that advantage
Right.
to be as powerful a medium as it can, and especially also as an actor also, the changes I can see within myself by getting the opportunity to play different parts, therefore discovering so many things inside me, and again exercising my empathy muscle. But any other field also, if you fully like do it with the true intention of what you're doing rather than what you're getting out of it, you can. But like I said, we have an advantages.
The summary of this entire thing can be the answer to my next question.
Okay.
What is your voice of artist?
As an artist, as an actor, eventually at least I would like to, through my work, make people see who they truly are.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we can get caught up in all the falseness of who we are and what society's told us and what we think we are. But I think a great performance can really can cut through everything and just hit you like in your core. Thank you.
From this, I will take a turn into, or maybe zoom out. We've been talking about an artist, an actor, or the craft of acting, which is a very individualistic journey.
Right.
Talk to us about now the collaborative need that an actor has.
Film is a collaborative medium, right? And as an actor, you obviously know that whatever preparation you've done to become the part or at least play the part, it depends on collaboration. It depends on syncing well or vibing well with the director, with the cinematographer, with the editor, with everybody else, with people who are not there in the room also.
Right.
Right? Well, it's almost like in life, everything has to come together well for everything to blossom. Similarly over here, and therefore, I think as an actor, our responsibility is to not be so, not be a diva. It's very simple because when you're shooting for something, time का constraint हमेशा रहता है, right? With the time का constraint, with so much pressure, if you're behaving like a diva and not cooperating with other people around you, then it won't be a pleasant experience for everything, right? And I mean, again, the journey, the process में ही तो joy होता है ना. So if the process, and I've seen whenever I've shot for something where the atmosphere of the set is conducive and it's like it's flowy, then automatically जो final जो film बनती है ऐसी वो उसमें भी प्यार झलकता ही है कि प्यार से बड़े प्यार से बनाया है यार. It makes you aware that as a human being, you're not the center of the universe. So similarly, you're taking it to a film set where you're like, it's not around me, we all are in this together.
Yeah, you're breaking a myth here because the convention is that the actor is the star or the celebrity or the center of the. I mean, poster also has only the actor, but you're saying it's actually a collective effort.
Obviously, it's like I can give my best performance, my best monologue, which I've rehearsed for 2 years, let's assume, and the editor has only put my back. Could be, no?
Yeah.
Because if he's
the lighting is not proper.
तो फिर
Which other part of the entire process of filmmaking do you find is the most crucial for an actor to understand?
All, but I would say writing, because वो line कभी कभार ऐसा भी होता है that the lines are written as not as conversation, but like sometimes you feel कि ऐसा तो कोई इंसान नहीं बोलेगा, because it's not written in like how human beings will talk. So therefore, it is very important to respect that and to have a deep understanding and appreciation for writers and writing.
So I'm assuming if you're saying writing is important to be understood, reading is also important for an actor.
In fact, I read much more than I watch, because when you're watching, things are almost fed to you. When you're reading, you are imagining the whole life of the story.
What does your routine look like then about reading?
I read like at least 20-30 pages of an English novel and 20-30 pages of a Hindi novel every day. Yeah, so Prem Chand and Nirmal Verma. But the thing is, I've realized that I retain the essence and the feelings of the things, but I sometimes forget the story.
I get it.
But I remember
How you felt.
Yeah.
What content do you consume?
I really like Ted Lasso, which is fantastic, and I like thrillers a lot, and I genuinely like films which have psychological drama more than like violence. I don't like watching violence so much. No. Yeah. Like Marriage Story. Have you seen Marriage Story?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Brilliant.
Like brilliant acting, brilliant writing. So I like cinema which is not so dependent on too many things.
Got it.
If the writing is brilliant, you have 2-3 setups and you can make brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I like that kind of content.
What do you want to say to the young aspiring artists?
You've chosen something which is unconventional, so don't judge yourself by conventional standards.
Apt summary.
Yeah.
To wrap this conversation, go back to your childhood, the young version of Rajeev. What would he say to you today?
Well done. And I would tell him to just chill. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rajeev. It has been a pleasure talking to you on Voice of Artists.
It has been my pleasure. I thank you so much, Megha.
Pleasure.